But
And
traditionally, you don't have that rehearsal dinner before?
No, traditionally, no. Traditional is like from half Italy to south. There is this serenata tradition that is like the groom goes down the balcony to the bride and sing a song the night before of the wedding.
I love that.
That's quite special. We had once here, but that's the only thing you do the night before. Otherwise, it's like traditionally it's like split. Everyone in its own bed, and good night. See you tomorrow.
This is Italian for Sure, the podcast about Italian culture. I'm your host, Catrin Skaperdas, an American living in Italy, and I interview Italians who passionately share their wisdom, stories, and insights about Italian culture. Welcome to Italian for Sure, Carolina.
Thank you very much for hosting me.
Of course. I'm so excited to talk to you today about weddings in Italy. And I was wondering if you could start by introducing yourself and telling us where we are today.
Yes, please. So I'm Carolina, and now actually we're here in this floral atelier. It's flower atelier of my mom. We're in Casa Scaparone. It's ours, more or less. It's a family business in the Langhe region, actually in Alba. It's a pretty big place where we have rooms for the guests to sleep in. We have a restaurant. We have huge gardens where we grow all the vegetables that we serve in our restaurant. So it's kind of a small family business, and we do a lot of weddings too. So I'm actually the event planner of the property, and also the manager of the whole business, but mainly focusing on the weddings. So I have a big expertise now since a couple of years already behind weddings.
I'm so glad you described everything that you do, and you helped me so much with my wedding here. So for our listeners, I got married to my husband here just a few months ago, and it was a dream come true. So
it was very special.
I absolutely love Casa Scaparone.
Yeah, and we love you. So
thanks.
It was very special. Yes.
Well, I want to talk about some of the things I noticed as an American who is planning a wedding in Italy with an Italian and with his Italian family. Yeah. And I thought we could start with attire. What do Italians traditionally wear to weddings in Italy?
You mean the guests?
Yes.
Yeah. The guests normally are very well dressed, but without like kind of dress code. Like it's very random, let's say. I mean, what I perceived is like you as Americans are a bit more fencing teams, let's say, kind of dress code precisely, but we were kind of elegant suit or elegant dresses, but very randomly, like not specifically in
not like
a black color.
Tie or
no at all. There is a lot of blue in Italy, but apart from this, it's very open. You know, it's becoming more and more like an American thing. So to have these kind of colors or dress codes, but I think it comes from there, not from our tradition.
Well, one of the things I noticed was that at weddings, you shouldn't wear black.
Yeah, that's a big no. That's a big no.
It's a big no not to wear black to weddings.
Black and
in
white.
Italy. Black, of course. White we have as well, but for black, my American side was a little shocked by that because it's very common to wear black to weddings.
You had black people wearing black at your wedding. I remember.
Yes, well, black suits.
Yeah,
especially men. For the women, it was easy to say, "Can you please wear a dress in a different color?" But for the men, some of them said, "Well, we only have black suits." They didn't have suits in other colors. And actually my father had to go out and buy a suit for the wedding because we said, please, I said to him, please, can you not wear black?
Yeah, I know. I don't know why but it's very like white and black is maybe to the groom and the bride, and that's it.
I heard it's because of funerals that black is more of a funeral
also because
color.
of that. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's changing, you know, it's whatever discussion we will have today, it's like, it's in the middle right now. It's kind of changing right now. So it's very difficult to say it's yes or no. Mm-hmm. It's in between there now.
As I say a lot on this podcast, you know, we're stereotyping big countries. So of course, everyone can do different things, but these are just the general common traditions of the country to not wear black. Well, And in America, we often have bridesmaids and groomsmen, and the bridesmaids are often told to wear the same color dress. Can you talk about groomsmen and bridesmaids in Italy?
Yeah, that's something we don't actually have that strong. We have this testimony that is the witness of both of the groom and bride, but it's not that strong as the bridesmaids. Like we don't have these 10 people like wearing the same colors or wearing the same suit. Is not that strong. We have the testimony, that is the person following you for every step of the wedding, like before and during the wedding day. But it's not that as the bridesmaids. What we used to have in our culture was like when my mother got married, she had kind of 3-4 kids entering before her. So the kids had a very important meaning. So that was more of like now bridesmaids, like entering before the bride and like throwing petals and bringing the rings. That was the meaning. Now we're starting to get bridesmaids too, but that's more fancy in America again. But normally there were kids doing that things.
That's interesting. Well, we do have that in America too. So we call it the flower girl.
We call it pagetto. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I guess, I don't know if we got that from is that a Catholic tradition?
I don't know, actually.
If it's religious?
I don't know. It should be, maybe.
Yeah. Is there still a lot of religious influence in Italian weddings?
Yeah, there is. Like mainly, in my experience, a lot of people, they choose to go into the church to have the mass. So that has a strong point still. What I see is sometimes there is kind of this fight in between doing it or not, because like people my age, they're not following that much church anymore. But traditionally, it's like kind of you have to do it there. So sometimes it's still a bit forced, you know, and also it's not strictly religiously, but also for the place itself, like the coolness, the space, and the religious of the space. But it's still very strong. And in the Italians' wedding, we have mainly they go to the church before, and it's very long. You know, it's like long ceremonies, not like the symbolic one you have. For example, they're very short. It's like a bit more personal and intense compared to the religious one.
And the religious one in our pre-interview conversation, you mentioned it's usually the full mass.
Yeah,
is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things, as you mentioned, maybe people nowadays that are deciding if they want to go along with traditionally what they know to have been done in the past or what they would like to do. Also what their parents would like them to do versus what they would like to do.
That's the hard point. Yeah. What I perceive as a wedding planner is that it's very hard to choose in between what you want and what your family wants. And what I try to do is always like, what you like that, or you really want to do that? Mm-hmm. And like most of the people, they go on their own path, but it's still very strong in our culture. Like sometimes I see they arrive here because we host weddings for a couple of nights because in these places it's cool to be lived for more than one day. So they arrive here the day before and they're like, should we sleep together tonight or shall we sleep in different rooms? I'm like, do you live together? Yes. And why shouldn't you sleep tonight together? Like
because traditionally the bride and the groom wouldn't sleep together the night before.
No, they can't sleep together the night before, and they can't see each other before. So there's no kind of first look or whatever. It's impossible to do that. Like, no.
So even nowadays, maybe more modern times where brides and grooms are sleeping together the night before if they already live together.
Yeah.
Are they in Italy? Is it common to do the first look?
No, it's not.
No, not common at all.
No, it's not.
Have you had any first looks at our Italian weddings here at Casa Scaparone?
Italians? No. So No, I had one actually, but it was because the bride had no father, so she wanted to go with him, like with the groom, and that was a beautiful moment. Yeah. But that was a meaning, like in our tradition, is like bad luck if you see the bride before the ceremony. So that's why we don't do that. But I think it will come. will arrive.
That's the bad luck thing is super aligned with what happened to me on my wedding day.
Yeah.
My Italian friends didn't reach out to say congratulations in the morning of, where my American friends, because I had a very small wedding, so some of my friends that were not invited because it was a 30-person wedding were texting me in the morning, congratulations, it's your day. And I'm like, that's strange. Why aren't my Italian friends messaging me? And I only found out later they messaged me, but they messaged me the next day and they said, well, it's bad luck to say congratulations before.
Yeah.
So
that's something we have. Yeah. I don't know why we have this thing, but it's also this tradition of having kind of rehearsal dinner for like super cool because you have the time with your friends and everything. But for us, it's like kind of family moment the night before. It's like you stay with your family and he stays with his family, and it's kind of sacred moment and everyone is together the day after,
I didn't know. So you said at Casa Scaparone people come from the day before to enjoy the place, but they're not doing a rehearsal dinner.
No, we're doing that now because it's becoming super popular, and the people now, what I see is the people want to stay with the friends the night before and then having the whole family the day after. But that's also because we invite so many people at the weddings.
Okay. But
and
traditionally, you don't have that rehearsal dinner before.
No, traditionally, no. Tradition is like from half Italy to south. There is this serenata tradition that is like the groom goes down the balcony to the bride and sing a song the night before of the wedding.
I love that.
That's quite special. We had once here, but that's the only thing you do the night before. Otherwise, it's like traditionally it's like split. Everyone in its own bed, and good night. See you tomorrow.
See you.
And normally in the morning you get flowers and you get presents from the groom, and then it starts with the day.
I didn't get any presents from my groom.
No.
That's okay. I got the gift of marrying him.
No, but yes, it's like this. It's very different, but now it's becoming super popular to have this kind of the day before, having it with friends, and then have the family joining the day of the wedding.
Yeah, and speaking of gifts, so you have what you call bomboniere, which we would call party favors, and that's an interesting aspect of Italian weddings that's different. Is my in-laws, specifically my mother-in-law, wanted us to get extra party favors for her to be able to give to some people that in her community that did not attend our wedding. In fact, some of them didn't even. We don't know them. We've never met them before. Yeah. And that's a common thing to do in Italy?
That's very common. And actually, it's very common also to invite people you actually don't really know. But it's more of like, if you live in a small village and you have neighbors, you invite the neighbors. That's it. But yes, the gift, it's like this. The people not attending or they couldn't attend the wedding for some reason, then you give the bomboniera the day after, or you just go there and give them the gifts. But that's sweet, I think. Like everyone is partying for this couple.
Yeah.
So I think it's good luck, it's like spreading love.
I think it's a great tradition as well. There were, my in-laws are great. They didn't push any of their traditions on us, but there were some things that I thought that, it's not hurting anybody. It's a nice thing to do to give the party favors out to more people. So absolutely we'll make some extras. One of the things that was a tradition we didn't do that my in-laws just had they questioned it, but of course they were okay with it in the end. Do you know the rings?
I know. I thought the seating order.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about that as well. But the rings. So we, my husband and I decided to do wedding bands that are different. And I remember for me, where I come from, that's really normal. I mean, I've actually never seen a bride and groom have the same ring because they each pick out a ring that they personally love and can't wait to wear.
Yes, we have same rings.
Yeah, exactly the same.
Exactly, and that's the same.
That's kind of the point of them. That's what I was told here, right? To have exactly matching rings as a pair to show that, I don't know, your eternal love for each other.
I don't know. But also this is changing. I've seen tons of different rings and beautiful rings, and also not the classical ones. But normally, yes, they're very similar. Like even if they're not exactly the same because of the size and the thinness, it's like very similar.
Yeah.
But I was more thinking about actually the seating table, because I remember we discussed like, shall we sit like aside our friends or aside our family? I was like, you discuss.
I can't decide this for you.
I don't want to discuss this with you guys. But yes, in our tradition, like in Italy, it's more of you sit, like the couple sits from one side is the family and the other side is the other family. And then the friends is another table. Or the couple sits alone in a table and looks at the others. That's very funny to think, because like you have that moment to share with your guests and then you sit alone. Never understood that.
Yeah.
But yes, normally it's no friends aside. You decided differently.
Well, no, actually, I mean, my mom
Mixed.
and dad it was mixed. My mom and dad were next to me, and then my best friends were across from me. Ours were so different. I mean, we had a 34 person wedding. So we had one long table. But in America, most of the weddings I'd been to are the same as, I guess you mentioned traditionally in Italy, where the bride and groom are sitting separate at their own table.
Yeah, too.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because people are always so surprised to see that in Italy we have a different table. Like in America, they have two.
Yeah, they have the separate table.
Cool.
I mean, of course, again, it depends on the wedding, but the majority of the weddings I've been to, they're
like,
usually at their own table.
Like north of Europe, it's not like this at all. Like you sit in between friends and that's it. So they're always like, why you're sitting alone?
I mean, yeah.
you have such a long life to sit alone. But I think it's a beautiful moment because you just take your time for a moment to like perceive what's going on, like rest an instant. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to mention, we were talking about gifts, that we have this tradition in Italy. It's called la busta. It's kind of an envelope where they like put money in it, and they just leave it in a box during the wedding day, and that's the gift. Originally, it was actually this and a list where the people could pick from to give you the gift you want. So the couple just draw down a list with all the things they want, and they leave it in a shop, and that the people can go there and pick what they want. But this is very, very typical. And the confetti, it's very typical. That's not the same confetti you probably have. Once I was the first time I was asked, can we throw confetti at the end of the ceremony? I was thinking about throwing like
chocolate
almonds. I was like, no, that's not what we do. But then I understood it's a different thing. The confetti is this almond sweets that we give at the end of the wedding with the gift, with the bomboniera. And there should be 5 normally, and everyone has its own meaning, like long life or wellness or whatever. And it's cool because everyone has it. Now it's becoming more of a candy bar, like with a lot of different types of confetti. It's not only the 5 you bring home. But that's very cool.
That is. There's so many things I want to say. First, I want to respond to La Busta, where you mentioned that one of the ways of giving a wedding gift is an envelope with money. Another way is a list of things that the bride and groom want, which we would call that a registry.
Yeah.
So in America, we have the same thing. The bride and groom can register and have a list of gifts that people can pick from and buy for them, or they can give them money at the wedding. That was an interesting thing that my husband and I talked about, because we talked about the concept of the la busta, the just giving money, rather than a registry for us. So we chose just one over the other, and said if someone would like to bring a gift, the la busta was easier for us because we don't have a house yet. We don't know what we need yet. So it's just
also
easier.
They needed to travel. So
exactly. So they could travel with gifts, and then also for us to bring them back. So it was just it was easier to just say, if you'd like to give a gift, please give money. And his family actually said it was, they weren't used to giving money as a gift.
Really?
Yeah.
We're so used to giving money.
That's so interesting. His family thought it was strange.
Traditions are all different all over Italy, so it's difficult to say it's like this. But around here, it's very, very typical. And like nowadays, people, they just put the IBAN on the invite.
That's what we did.
Yeah. So
the IBAN, for anyone who doesn't know, is your bank code.
Yeah,
so
bank code.
You can do a wire transfer.
It's the same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing. The la busta is the same, but it's very, very common actually.
That's interesting. This is why I like to talk to Italians from different places, because I do know it's so different regionally.
Yeah, I know.
And again, like I say, also in the US, it could be different from family to family, but
course. If we talk, for example, about food, that's totally different from north of Italy to south.
Oh yeah, I've had many of episodes where something gets brought up about food being regional. And food at weddings, I mean, food at weddings in Italy is very, very important.
Yeah,
I think probably no matter where in Italy you are, it's important. You'll be eating different things, but it's important. My husband and I had a wedding that was pretty much a dinner party, which I know that's probably different than the traditional wedding in Italy. We just made up what we wanted to do, which we didn't want to have a dance floor. We wanted it to just be a dinner party. And that worked for us. The thing that we found to be culturally different when we went back to the US for a friend's wedding just months prior is that at American weddings where there are dance floors, typically the food comes out while people are still dancing. And so some people are sitting and eating, some people are standing and dancing. The concept of food and dinner is not the main focus of the wedding. Whereas in Italy, correct me if I'm wrong, but food is a major focus of the wedding.
Yeah, it's super important. And people, they just sit there for hours and eat and eat. And like me, when I plan it, it's like no one should stop dinner. Like if you need to stop dinner for any reason, like kind of speeches or whatever, like we pause and then, but not during like while people are eating. That's very sacred as a thing, religious as a thing. And I think every very important moment in our Italian life, it's around food. And the wedding must be the same. So it's kind of, it normally starts with a long aperitivo, like cocktail hour, where people just bring food from a buffet and eat and eat and eat. And then it goes on with a seating dinner. So it's like, you think you're enough, it's enough, but it's not enough. So you just sit down and have a long dinner. In Piemonte, it's not that long, actually, because it's normally 4 or 5 courses and that's it, like you had. But in south of Italy, it's like the whole day, and that's
the whole day of eating.
Yeah, it's like super long. But I think that the problem is also because of the number of guests the people invites, because we used to have kind of, let's say 200 people attending the wedding, and then how can you serve 200 people without being long? It's impossible. Yeah. So we're used to that. So sometimes you're like, oh, we started lunch. Like last Sunday we had a wedding, Italian wedding, and we had the ceremony around midday, and we started with the aperitivo at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and then we sat down for lunch at 3, and then we ended up with the champagne tower and the cutting of the cake at 7. So that was kind of, is that a dinner or a brunch or what is that?
It's just a wedding, just an Italian wedding.
Yeah, so it's always around food, and people are so attached to food and they want to try whatever and see whatever. But that's cool. It's like, it's one of the most important thing for us, like food and good drinks. But mainly it's like this, and then you end up with the dance floor too. So
after.
But after.
So everyone has completed eating.
Yeah.
Even after the cake, or do you dance and then sit down?
No, you can also dance in between that. But it's never like while people are eating normally.
Okay. Understood. You mentioned confetti, which are these chocolate-covered almonds that are handed out, and you said usually there's 5 in the pack. The pack is usually decorated. We had sunflowers on ours. This is not a tradition that we have in America. And you mentioned that a bride and groom asked if they could throw confetti because there was a misunderstanding. Yeah. So confetti for us is like pieces of paper, basically, that are colorful that you throw in the air. It's kind of like Carnevale. You have so that's confetti for us. Yeah. So for our listeners, Carnevale is a holiday here in Italy, and kids go around throwing the American definition of confetti
that is in Italy. I don't remember the word right now, so just confused in between. But it's the same thing. Yeah. But for the weddings, we don't use those confetti to throw, but we use normally rice.
So and it's still traditional to throw rice.
Yeah, we throw rice at the end. Yeah.
And is that something like the family and the friends get themselves?
Yeah. Okay. They get the pack themselves.
Like from the supermarket?
Yeah. And they just throw it. Yeah.
I love that.
Even if it's not allowed, like most of the church, they won't allow it anymore because it's super difficult to clean.
Oh.
So yes.
Well, I love learning about the differences and traditions between, the U.S. and Italy. One thing I found interesting is in the U.S., we have a lot of parties pre-wedding. So when bride and groom when they get engaged, they have an engagement party. Then they have a bridal shower, which is usually just from the women of the wedding that attend. You don't have these traditions in Italy.
We don't have it like this. We have kind of a party with female and men, like for both of the couple, but it's more of like the week or 2 weeks before the wedding. You just go with your friends, like the closest friends, and then you party, and then that's it. There's no kind of bridal shower or engagement party. It's not that intense, it's more easygoing, and maybe you have a dinner with your family just to announce it, or it's always around kind of a dinner, but
food, going back to food.
Yeah, but it's not that pumped up,
I think what you're describing sounds like bachelorettes and bachelor parties.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's another thing that the bridal shower,
It is. So we have engagement party, then bridal shower, then the bachelorette and the bachelor.
We have bachelorette and bachelor. Yeah.
Okay. But not the others.
No.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's cool.
Well, it's been so lovely chatting with you and learning about the traditions of Italian weddings. I was wondering if you had some fun stories for us from weddings that you've hosted here at Casa Scaparone.
Yeah, I have tons of funny stories.
Your favorite too?
Yeah, my favorite, like if I have to talk about Americans, I had this amazing American wedding with a couple from New York, and they were lovely. And they asked me to have a cutting of a pizza instead of cutting of a cake.
I love that.
And I love that much. And what was cool is that at the end of their wedding, like when they finished dinner, and the dinner was just kind of pizza and pasta, they just dressed up like a disco, and they just had this huge party, like all dressed up, and it was hilarious because all like the grandmothers dressing like crazy party, and it was very, very fun in the end. Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah, that was beautiful. And so that was some times ago, but this year I had an amazing, like, crazy story. We had with a couple the rehearsal dinner. They choose Casa Scaparone because it's kind of a rural place, very attached to the roots of this region. Like we cultivate our vegetables, and it's very raw what we produce. So it's not kind of the stereotype food you have in Italy, or maybe what people from America think about Italy. It's like we have different food every like village. So we had a pizza night, but our pizza night is more of, let's say, pizza and focaccia to share with ingredients from the region. So they didn't see a pizza margherita coming, like kind of a pizza per person. It was more of sharing dinner, like with things from here. And at the end of that was actually what the couple wanted, because they wanted to tell the people from their place that there is something else in Italy. It's not like everywhere you go you find the same pizza margherita or the same pasta. Every region has its own roots. So that was their meaning, and they were really like fond on that, and they wanted it to be special and different than the stereotype of Italy. And what was cool is that I got a call at the end of the wedding from the chef, and he was like, that the people are ordering pizza? I was like, sorry?
Wait, what do you mean?
Yeah, what do you mean? Said, the bride is like crying, and like she was like so sorry with us, but the young team, the young American team, they ordered pizza, delivered pizza, and they got it delivered here after dinner, but not because they were hungry, but they wanted the stereotype pizza. And I was like, what? That's very like unpolite.
Yeah.
But then
order
like
food to a place that serves food.
But then I laugh a lot because in the end it was like it was that the point. No, they really want to share that there is another option of food, that there is another thing. So I wasn't angry no, not at all. And then of course the bride and the groom, they were so sorry. I was like, no, it's funny. Let's it's fine, unless they're not like they wanted more food, but they would say no, they were full. In the end they left it like more of them. But it was just like this, like they wanted the official pizza.
What they think is the traditional pizza of Italy. That's super interesting.
Yeah, that's crazy. I was like, okay, let's see tomorrow.
Well, that's great that you're okay with understanding, I guess, that people don't know the cultural norms
it's
here.
Super normal.
Yeah. And normally here you would never order food to a place that serves food.
No.
I think also in the US that would be the case, but okay, they were excited.
Drunk.
Maybe they were drunk.
They would probably drunk. But it's it. And other funny stories, maybe not so funny, but once we had a wedding, it was during COVID actually. We had this Finnish wedding, and they were like 40-50 guests, and they rent a place for 4 nights, so it was kind of huge party. And 2 weeks before the wedding, they just called us and say, okay, no one wants to travel. They are like, they're scared about this COVID situation, but it was like open that summer. Actually, it was fine to travel. It wasn't like we had weddings, and I said okay, and then. Of course, I can cancel it, but of course, it's like 2 years of planning, and you should pay something if it's 1 week before.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's 6 months before, you can figure it out, but 2 weeks before, it's like, what shall I do? So we discussed a way in between us and them that was fine for them to pay, and then we said, but then. Are you coming? How many people are you coming? And they were like, oh, we're coming in 6. I said, what?
6? From how many was?
From 50.
Oh,
I said, but that's very sad. So my mother was like, can we invite some friends and like guests from Casa Scaparone to just fill the wedding and just do a wedding? Like, it's not like a normal dinner. And the groom said, oh, I talked with her and then I will let you know. And then the day after, he calls back and says, let's do it. I mean, we need to pay because we have to pay.
Yeah.
We can't leave the place empty like this. So invite 30 people that you want and we do the party. And we've done that.
Oh my goodness.
And that was so sweet because everyone was asked to come with a gift. And there were like musicians, there was a dancer, there was an artist, a painter. And it was so cool because everyone came with a gift and everyone was so like involved, even if they didn't know them. But like, I think they came this September and they told me that probably the wedding was better than what it should be with their friends because it was so special.
That sounds really special. And when you say gifts, you mean like a talent, like somebody came and they were the musician. Somebody came and they were the artist. That's incredible.
Yeah, it was very special. It's a special story we keep in our heart. Yeah,
that shows how much you care about the people that get married here.
Yeah,
I felt that getting married here, and it's a really special place. So I'm really happy for them that they had you guys to help make their day still something special. And they wanted to do the idea that you had.
Yeah.
I love that.
That was quite cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Carolina, this has been an incredible conversation. I've learned so much about weddings in Italy.
Yeah.
I was wondering before we go if you had any last words, any last things you want to share about Italian weddings.
I might say that having a lot of weddings from all over the world, it's becoming so like a mixture of everything, and I love that so much. And I really love that also the Italian way of the wedding is changing. So I'm really looking forward of what it will be in the next years.
Well, I can't wait for you to tell me more stories about inviting your friends to people's weddings or cutting pizza for dessert.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for joining Italian for Sure.
Thank you for hosting me. This is Italian for Sure.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Italian for Sure. If you liked what you heard, make sure to hit the follow button wherever you listen to podcasts and hit the subscribe button on YouTube. If you want to connect, find me on Instagram and TikTok at Italian for Sure, and let me know what you found most interesting. Until next time.